Hello everyone, today I'm going to be giving you an overview of the YellowDog platform and some useful tips and tricks to make your renders go a little bit more smooth. So I've got a scene here inside of Maya, but you could be using any 3D program that's supported by the YellowDog platform. I'm just going to go into the render settings and I'm going to make sure I've got a file name set up, an image format set up, so this is OpenEXR in this case, and a frame range, so I've got frame 1 to 150 here. So it's ready to be exported to the YellowDog platform. Under the YellowDog toolset, I'm going to click this button here which says Export Scene to YellowDog, and I'm going to uncheck Start Job because in this case we're going to run some test renders before we start the actual job. Under project name, just give it a useful project name, and you can see here it says frame count 150, which is correct, and you can see here it says frames 1 to 150, so that's all good. I'm going to press OK now to upload this to the YellowDog platform. It's going to ask us to save and not change anything whilst this uploads, so that's just uploaded now, and you can see in our projects window on the YellowDog Sync app we've got our project here. So I'm just going to click the button that says New Job here, and that's going to launch the YellowDog platform in a web browser. And in this case, I'm going to launch it with some custom parameters so we can run some test renders. I'm going to check custom parameters, and here you could change the camera if you wanted, but I'm just going to set this to do not override. And under frame range, I'm just going to use 3 frames to test whether the render is going to work. So I'm going to select frame 1, followed by a comma, then space, 75, which is about halfway through, comma space, and then 150. So we've got frame 1, a frame in the middle, and a frame at the end. So I'm just going to click Start here. And if we go over to the jobs tab now, you can see we've got a job here and it says that it's running. However, this won't start running until we add some servers to our account. So let's go to the top of the page and click add servers. And YellowDog has provided a tool here to help you work out how much render power you need to purchase. So in the total number of frames you like to render, we know there's 150 in the main scene, but we're going to render 3 test frames as well. So I'm going to put 153 here. And it also asks you what the average time to render a frame on your computer was. So I know that that was around 1 minute. And it's going to ask you for your computer Cinebench score. Cinebench is just a free benchmarking tool to show how fast your computer is. So if you have a score for this, just enter that here. I think this one's around 2,500. And we know that this is a Redshift job, so we're going to need to buy GPU render time. So I'm going to hit GPU here, and YellowDog has given us a calculation here. It's saying that it's going to take 1 hour and 54 minutes to render this job. So if we're happy for this render to take this amount of time, we can just hit 2 hours here and click Suggest Servers. And YellowDog just told us that in order to render it in 2 hours, you only need 1 YellowDog machine to render, and that's £10.80. If we want this to render in 1 hour, we can enter 1 here and click Suggest Servers, and now it's suggesting that we use 1 hour over 2 machines, so 2 machines will be rendering for 1 hour, and that will be the same price as well. So I'm going to click Start here. So once you've got your server subscriptions running, it will start to process through the jobs under the Jobs tab. If we had multiple jobs here, so let's say I'll create a new job, which is going to be the whole scene, 150 frames, I'll add that. So you can see now in the Jobs tab we've got 2 jobs. It will prioritize these from the top down. If you wanted to change the order in which these render, you can click the little arrow here and change the order just like that, and now it's going to render this job first. But we're going to want to render the test frames first, then if all goes well we can go ahead and render the whole thing. So I'll just let this top job render through. I'm actually going to cancel the whole job for now, so you just click the little cross in the corner and yes, I want to cancel this render job. So it's just going to render these test frames now. So here we are, that has finished rendering the test frames. If you wanted to have a look at what they look like, we can click this little view button here next to preview, or we can click this little image icon here, and we get this little image viewer tool that's going to allow us to scrub through the render and spot any potential problems with it. So I'd be happy to submit the full 150 frames now that I can see that there's no bugs with it. We can also download these outputs. So if I just want to download a single image, next to download here I can just click output, and it's going to zip the files up for us and give us the full EXR file. If there was a problem with the render and you wanted to have a look at the render log, you can do that by clicking the render log view button at the bottom, and that's going to open a little text window, and we'll be able to try to debug the render to see where the problems are occurring. And we can also download this log file as well. So if you wanted to know a little bit more about your renders, you could view the jobs analytics. So I'm going to click this little button here, which looks like a bar chart. This is going to open the job render analytics window. And this is going to give you detailed information about how long frames took, for example, how long the fastest frame took, and all that kind of stuff. Under rendered frames here, you can get detailed information over time about how long everything took in your renders, so you can group the information by months. Obviously I've only rendered these 3 frames, so there's not really going to be much information here, but let's say you'd rendered multiple cameras from the same scene over a period of time. It would give you detailed information about average render time over the month, things like that. And this kind of stuff's really helpful for when you're quoting for future jobs, or you just need to know how much you've spent on rendering. And all of this information is available to download to CSV format, so you can open this with programs like Excel, for example. So that's a really good tool to have, especially if you're running a business. Finally, if you're having problems with the job and you need to speak to customer support, you can actually report the problem through the job itself by clicking this little headset icon here. That's going to open the job support window, and the beauty of this is that it's linked to your job ID, so the customer support worker will know exactly what the job is that you're having problems with. So if we go to the drop down here, we could say maybe we're missing some frames. You can hit send here and customer support will get back to you as soon as possible. So that's basically it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy using the platform.